I have completely changed in the last few months my mindset around money. I went from saving 60 to 70% of my net income every single month to now saying it's time to spend it. So what I want to do in this video is to tell you specifically on what changed, why did I change my mindset, and then on what products and services I have decided to spend my money on. I first wrote about this on my email newsletter. So this is a newsletter I send once a month or so, usually. And it has been quite popular, more popular than normal. And because of that, I felt like, okay, it's time to actually make a video out of this and share the same with my YouTube audience. So here you are. And what you'll see is that you'll see me in the corner while I read through some of the key points of the newsletter. So this is the latest issue of The Compass, which is titled, Should I Give Up Financial Independence? And then my splurging plans. This was published in August 26, 2021. Here at the beginning, basically I just say what are the key points of the email. The main things relevant for you is that it's about this mindset shift in money that I had, and like I explained that in detail and like the specific strategies and tactics I use. And then also a little bit of a travel update for the 1% of you who care about that. But let's get into it. So when I say that I changed the money mentality, so I have, and I will be reading through a lot, but I will be adding some more context as well, is that I have the mother of first world problems. I have been saving too much. Since I have graduated from school, and that's like has been a while now, I have a long-term commitment and obsession, you would say, with achieving financial independence. And what I mean with financial independence is that to have enough passive incomes and or savings not to have to work for money anymore. That was kind of the goal, and still is in a way, right? Still is a super important goal for me, that I just want to do whatever I want when I want, and have been dabbling with different ways of achieving this financial independence for a while. But anyway, so I'm not alone with this obsession. So in 2021, and it has been even for a few years now, there's a whole bunch of people, and mostly millennials, who are working to achieve this type of lifestyle. And like using this, going for this total financial independence, while at the same time having normal jobs, working like normal people. Like as I do, as I said, I work in MERS in a normal job and so on. So it's not that you need to be like a super crazy person doing something completely out of the box to actually achieve this lifestyle. And this is the FIRE community. For those of you who don't know what FIRE is, which stands for Financial Independence Retire Early, so I'll just read this through because it's a really good description in a very concise way. So there's a growing movement of people who are practicing FIRE principles and retiring decades earlier than expected as a result. So smart, often middle class or middle income earners are using a simple formula of having high saving rates, 50 to 70%, which by the way, it's a lot of, you're basically saving 70% of your salary or of your earnings is really, it's a big deal. Frugal lifestyles or minimalism, and then at the same time doing low cost stock investing in index funds, so like that Warren Buffett's standard investment advice, in order to reach financial independence, meaning like as I said, like not have to work for money and do whatever you want when you want, within a short, usually 10-year period. So it can be sometimes within 5 to 10 years. For obvious reasons, as I say here, FIRE is sometimes referred to as the ultimate life hack. Because it's quite nice, right? I mean, imagine you're 35 or 40 and you can basically like don't need to work for money anymore. I mean, that's not a bad deal to be, and especially again when you don't have to have had like a huge startup success or anything like that to be a decamiller and so on. You can actually be a normal person to achieve this. So, a lot to unpack on that definition, but the gist of this is that if you're a middle income earner, so broadly defined, so you don't need to be making like 100,000 a year, so you need to be, or 100,000 euro, right? So you don't need to be ultra rich. You have a super high salary. You don't need to be like fancy investment banker lawyer. You can have a normal job, but you save a good chunk of your earnings, so 50, 60%, even more sometimes. For a decade or so, you can live from your investments indefinitely. So you can retire without having to wait for 65, 67 or whatever it is now that you can retire at. So you can be 30, 35, 40, depending on when you start. You can say, okay, this is when I'm done. So some people think they really want to retire, so they really want to close this off and go and like just be a bit of a hippie or like surf around the world or like just travel and so on and don't do really much. But I mean, for at least myself, right, what really appeals to me of this lifestyle is that once you're financial independence, you don't need to pick a job because of the salary or the benefits, or you don't need to do a startup or an idea and so on because of the money. You basically do it because it's meaningful and because you find it fun. So, for perspective, I like my job. In works, what I do in MERS, I actually like it and I enjoy it and I go to work happy, and it's not that I'm working all Monday, I don't want to do it anymore. And so I actually like it. Same with all this YouTube stuff and all the emails and so on. I actually like to do it. So it's not that I'm doing it because of the money and so on. And when you have this financial independence mentality, I would hope you live a more happy and fulfilling life. But anyway, we're getting too meta there. So what I want to say here as well is that I have been a diligent FIRE follower, so not as extreme or successful as many in this community, but I have invested at least 30% or 50% of my net income since 2014, and I have saved up to 10 years worth of expenses at my current 2021 levels. So 10 years, just to say, like, and again, like when I say 10 years worth of expenses, I mean that includes equity in my house, this includes all the investments that I hopefully don't want to sell. So, but meaning that I have enough saved up that if I need to cash it in, I have like 10 years worth of expenses covered. And that includes, having a kid and so on. So it's pretty good. But a few notes for context, I saved a lot of, for a lot of people, this sounds like a lot of savings, like 50% of my net income and so on. Last year it was even more. So to save this much is all about, I think, smart financial decisions. And in Denmark, for example, those are to own a house, because in a cash flow sense, it's a good deal. Even if the price goes up or down, that's a different story. You never know, right? Don't have a car, get free quality education. I made a whole bit about it. I will link up somewhere there. And this is the video where I said, okay, these are the best ways to save money in Denmark. But it does, again, like, it's not about on coupons and so on. It's about actually big lifestyle decisions that can make the biggest difference. And as I said, I have a wife, and the fact that she works and she earns more money than I do, and she's as frugal as I am, that helps a lot as well, in the sense that when you just have to sustain a family on one income, that limits your possibilities a lot more. So especially if you're going for this FIRE stuff. So just to keep in mind as well, those are the, let's say, some of my advantages here. And regardless, having such a high saving rates obviously comes at a cost. Because it's not that I came here with this expat deal and get this huge salary, pay low taxes, and my wife the same. It's not, unfortunately, it's not the case. So what has been in practice is that I have lived as a minimalism and quite frugally for many years. So it's not exaggeration to say that until we got our son, we were almost living in a student budget, son's traveling, so we didn't really spend a lot of money. And again, as I say, except of traveling, that occasional gadget, because I like computers and phones and so on, I have kept my wallet tight, and I just don't carry an expensive lifestyle, honestly. But in 2021, after a lot of thinking, I decided to consciously relax this approach and let my FIRE goals relax a little bit. And as I said, you don't get to save 50% of your salary without sacrifice. So it's a big trade-off. So it's basically you save now to relax later. And the appeal of FIRE versus normal retirement is that later is not so much later. So basically, when you say you are going to retire by 40, it's a lot more seductive than saying 60, because at 40 or 35 or whatever, you're still healthy and strong, and you can have you're not 65 sounds like, yeah, I don't want that. So. And as I say, I'm around 50% on the way to FIRE. I think there are a lot of things that could set me in the right direction or wrong direction. You have a business blow up, and then all of a sudden you just go there really quickly, or something goes wrong, and then you get a few years back. So 50% on the way to FIRE is a very nebulous thing. But anyway, the fact that I have made it this far, I said to myself, okay, I can give myself a little bit of slack. And I made this, and I normally do this when in my annual reviews. It's if I had all the money in the world, what would I use it for? If I had all the money in the world, money would be my problem. What would be my lifestyle and so on? So I made these exercises and I thought okay, what could I splurge? Basically, if I would use money to be happier, why would I do it? Or money to use for a better quality of life, why would I do that? Well, how would I go ahead and do that? So that's what I'm gonna go now in the second part of this email. But what I want to say is that I made this exercise, and also I was even thinking as well of, okay, what I realized is that by doing this exercise is that I don't really need a lot of money extra to do what I want. And the second thing that I also realized is that I'm at the stage that if I don't like my job moving forward, and I have an ambition for my career as well, so that's basically what drives me to get, say, fancier jobs and some jobs that I need to work harder and so on, because I like the career, it's exciting and so on. But technically I'm at the point where I could basically just chill out and work for jobs that will not get paid as much, but at the same time, I can get to do all the things I want on the side. So maybe sometimes even jobs that you worked on 4 days a week and still incorporate instead of 5 days a week, and you get to do the things that you like. So once you get closer to FIRE, these kind of opportunities open up. And the fact that I don't need to get a better job with a higher salary to sustain my lifestyle, that makes it a lot easier. And yeah, I asked myself, okay, these type of questions, how could this splurging plan look like? So this is what I came up with. And again, hopefully it's inspiring for many of you, especially the ones of you who are parents, and for example, I am a father of a 2-year-old, and like basically that changes the game a lot in your lifestyle. Not as much as, you know, people really exaggerate a lot of things, but yeah, it does change, right? And so how do I tackle this? So I decided to splurge on 3 areas. So the first one is to free up time, and the second one is to outsource and grow my online business, and the third one is to step up learning. So these are the 3 things I say, okay, if I want to splurge, these are things I really think they would be the best for my personal happiness, personal lifestyle, and so on. And parallel to this, I said, okay, I will not give up fire, but instead of investing like 50% of what I earn and so on, I just invest like maybe 10 to 30% for at least 1 year and say, okay, does this, put it into balance and see how it goes. And when I say 10 to 30%, it can be 40%. It depends also a lot on traveling. I used to travel a lot, and my wife as well. And like now, of course, we would like to travel more again when that opens up. So we'll put that into the balance. But I mean, we'll still invest and save and so on, at least myself, but maybe not as much as I did. But we'll try for a few months. And specifically for freeing up time. And I think I'm going to make a full video on this because again, when you have kids, this is super important. And then first, home and lifestyle help. So this one is a must do. If you ask me, if you're a new parent, all of a sudden, like, you basically can't turn off your kids. I mean, like, it's absolutely crazy the amount of time you spend with them, and it's very meaningful time. So a lot of, when people ask me, hey, no, you need to spend time, I mean, it's actually nice. I'd rather spend time like reading a book to my son than like doing a lot of the random stuff I used to do. So, but in all cases, overall, the reality is that you do spend a lot of time with them. And if you're a parent, yeah, how can you save time? So we have a cleaner now twice a week. Not twice a week, like we used to have every 2 weeks. Now we have every week, and it comes 2 hours a week. And our apartment is like 100 square meters. We're not talking about a huge place. But the fact that we have a cleaner coming every week means that you almost don't need to worry about cleaning at all. I mean, we have that plus the robot vacuum that basically takes care of most of the stuff. And basically the cleaner can come and change the sheets, iron the clothes, make the deep cleaning of the bathroom, things like that normally will be a bit of a hassle to do, like the windows, and my son likes to put his hands all over. I mean, like, to have someone do this every week, it's better than do it every second week, because otherwise my wife or I would have to do a little bit of the weekends of cleaning here and there. And cleaning, at the end of the day, I like to have a clean house, and like there's definitely better uses of our time than to just be cleaning. I mean, when you always need to compare, Naval Ravikant said, right, that you need to know what is your like hourly rate as a person, like how much does your time value as a professional, and if you are doing tasks personal for work that are under that value, you should like try to outsource that. So cleaning is definitely on top of the list. Then babysitter. We have 2 days a week. We have a babysitter, and our son goes to daycare and so on. But like, we used to have a girl that comes and is with him every weekend, and from Estonia. My wife is from Estonia. The kid also would be great to have him more exposure to the language. That's always good. And we now decided to expand to twice a week. In fact, this means that instead of being myself or my wife playing with him in the playground, it's with her. And he's happy in either case. He loves the babysitter as well. So people say, no, but I want to raise my kids and so on. It's so nice, honestly, when you have at least, for example, in my case, it's like these 2 hours a week now. 2 hours a week during the week that I know I'm not at work, because I don't want to spend those hours working. I would just like to be like relaxing on my own, and same on the weekend, we can just do stuff. I mean, I started taking guitar classes, and more of that in a second, but that's when I say, okay, I'll babysitter now, and at the same time I do guitar class. I mean, like, this is something that if you don't have a babysitter, then you need to make a compromise with your wife. Okay, I look after him here, and then look after him there. When you actually can afford this, it's really good. And then last, and I also hopefully make a video on this soon, is just to order his groceries and food home. So Nemlik and Food Tex deliver food to your house. Like, we just started like this year to just make huge orders in Nemlik once a week. You basically save a lot of the trips to the supermarket, and even if you have a supermarket like 2 blocks away, the fact that you don't need to go in there, put in the things, I mean, basically you save a lot of time. If you just count the time, it's a lot of time, and it's not a lot more expensive. We sometimes also order food maybe like once or twice a week, but not so much. And this is costly. We're talking about maybe 4,000 to 6,000 krona a month for the whole family. So divide that two, like half myself, half my wife. So it's not cheap, but the amount of time we have unlocked through this, and the amount of relaxation that we have unlocked through this, in my opinion, justifies it. So that's relaxing on time. The other thing that I used to save on time, it was to relax on subscriptions. I hate subscription, guys. I tremendously dislike fixed costs, because fixed costs are the antithesis of fire. And if you are into fire, you know that basically you want to keep your fixed cost, your basic cost as low as possible. And every subscription adds to that. So basically it delays your fire time, because your lifestyle is more expensive. Anyway, So I hate subscriptions. I mean, with all my heart. But now I kind of came to peace, and now especially that everything is a subscription makes it really hard, right? To go completely anti-subscription. But now I say, okay, I'll pay well for a service if it gets me help. If it helps me, it gets more stuff done and saves time and removes friction. And again, I come from a point where there was like a year ago, I had like zero subscription, no Netflix, no Spotify, no nothing, really, like zero. And like except like some things for them, I'm basically like hosting for my website and so on. But like beyond that, nothing. And if you would wanted a subscription only app, I would just try to find an alternative where I would just pay once or have it for free, like torrent something if needed, don't tell anyone, but like, just being like completely crazy of not having any subscriptions. And now I said, okay, I found out about what something is called personal knowledge management, which is like a way of working that streamlines your like process of producing stuff a lot and makes you do things a lot quicker. And then I decided to pay up for Rome Research, which is quite expensive, Notion, Readwise, Instapaper, Day One, and a lot of other apps, which, as I produce a lot of these videos and I produce my content online and writing and so on, and even for my day-to-day work in Maersk, by using these tools, I can do a lot of my work a lot faster. And I realized, okay, even if Rome costs $15 a month, which is, for a web subscription, it's a lot. It's same with Request, $8 a month is quite expensive. These things are just so useful, and there's really no good alternative, like pound per pound good alternative for them at the moment. They say, okay, I'll just pay for it. And of course, the moment they stop using something, like I signed up for Evernote, after a few months, I was like, okay, I was almost not using it, I cut it off, right? But the things that I use, completely useful. And like I got myself to start paying that and saving myself time. Now, as I said, there are two more things I was doing now as my splurging plan. The second one is to outsource and grow my online business. So I have this YouTube channel, I have my one newsletter, and I have like some online products to sell. It has never been a big deal, and it's not a big deal for me. I mean, like compared to my day job, I mean, this is tiny, but I still want to grow this. It's fun. And I have a 4x4 plan. So I want to 4x my online revenue, but at the same time, only work on it 4 hours a week. Don't tell anyone again, like that's my mentality here is that, but I have been on and off on this for a while. And I see now some traction on YouTube. I mean, as you can see, the email list is quite big and sales are okay. I make some money from this. I was like, okay, how can I speed this up and produce more and get more reach and so on? And like, I get like every week people writing me emails or people recognize me in the street, which is pretty crazy. But anyway, and it's good making friends and so on. So I said, okay, if I had to spend money on the business to streamline it and make it well, so how would that go? So first, hire a YouTube editor. So the biggest time saving in YouTube is to edit, and it's not that it's hard, honestly. Like, I think like if I would go broke completely and need to find a job, I think like that's something that you can do pretty well without a lot of training and charge a decent amount of money. So kudos to that. And yeah, you can find a good editor and so on that just basically outsource your video. So I have started working with one editor a few videos back, and it has saved a lot of time, honestly. So we still need to iron out some of the details, but I'm listening on processes and so on. There's a lot of software that goes into it and so on to make it even more streamlined, but it saves a lot of time because editing is not hard, but it's just time consuming. And then the next step is researching. So I write fast because I have been writing online for like 12 years. I write quickly, but it's still like when you have like 1 hour a week to write videos, there's so much you can do, right? So, and like I was thinking like finding a researcher as well, someone who can at least put me bullet points to say, okay, I tell him or her, these are the topics, or him or her finds me potential topics that would be popular on YouTube for potential videos or potential newsletters and so on, and write on that. So if you know anyone who could be a good researcher, or even as I say here, executive assistant, let me know. There are a lot of projects I would like to take on. For example, do more repurposing of my videos into Twitter threads, or doing Instagram videos, and like research more ideas and like have more direct contact with the audience. That at the moment I have not really dedicated the time on to this because, as I said, like I at the moment don't want to dedicate more than 4 or 5 hours a week. And it would be great to hire someone to help that out. So, and as I said, like there are always good things about this. It's not that you need to hire someone full time. So for example, the editor I pay per video, and then like the executive assistant or researcher, it would be great to have someone that even like just 2 hours a week. So if you know someone who would be a good, ideally if they speak Danish, let me know. And yeah, as I put here as well, I do these Q&A videos. Hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll make another one. So if you have any questions and so on, I normally tell people in my newsletter, just reply to the email, I'm telling you your questions, and I'll reply in one of the videos. And this is open to you as well. If you have any questions, reply to these YouTube videos comments, and then we'll add them into the next tea time with Mario. And okay, so I have unlocked then all this free time, and I'm kind of putting the business to go on autopilot, what would I do with the extra time, right? So, and I like learning stuff. So what I have, like, it's one of my biggest passions, and I say, okay, I have taken learning seriously. But I have what changed now versus changed then is that now I have the time, but also decided to spend money on my learning, right? So, and in Argentina, where I'm from, like, to have people teach you stuff is relatively cheap. But here in Denmark, it's not. So to have a coach of anything in Denmark is very expensive. But then pandemic happened, and then you could realize that you can basically do every single coaching online, from workouts to, yoga workouts, whatever. You can do it online, so you don't need to be reliant on the very expensive Danish-based teachers. And it's also a limited pool because it's a small country and so on. So that opened up a lot of opportunities. So I'm going to be focusing a lot on this and spending time on coaches and learning. So I'm just trying to be very deliberate on this. And specifically what I have been doing now, and it's very Danish specifically anyway, right? So for the last 2 years, I had one Danish teacher where we did a class every 2 weeks. Because I think my Danish is pretty good now, but I'm trying to get to the point that I'm completely fluent and can have any type of conversation, right? And then, like, I said, okay, what could I do to speed this up? There are other things I could do, but they're mostly boring. So what I did is like, okay, I'll hire 2 more teachers for half-an-hour classes and do those also, or 2 or 3 teachers, and have 2 times half-an-hour classes every week. And it's a lot more engaging to be talking with someone interesting and than just be reading a potential boring book in Danish or something like that. So I just rather have these conversations, learn what I know down what I learn and so on. So I have hired 2 more teachers on that as well. And if you don't know what approach I use, there's a link down below in the video description to my Danish learning article. There's a website called italki where you can connect with teachers and have Skype lessons, and it's absolutely game changer. For Danish it's relatively expensive, but then if you want to learn Spanish and so on, it's super cheap. Would recommend it. So then guitar, as I said, like, I have picked up a Danish-based Argentinian as well, like me, guitar teacher, which is great, and we're doing classes every week. And I have been trying to pick up this for like many years, and actually to have someone that comes to my house and teaches me the guitar is quite expensive. But it's not that it's quite expensive, it's actually quite reasonable, but it's just quite it's a good experience. And again, it's something that I would have never done before, like of paying someone to come to my house, because I would save time of going there and so on and pay them up and so on. It's good. Again, not that you need to do this, but like just to give perspective of where I went to where I go now. So. And last, on YouTube, so I joined something called a part-time YouTuber Academy. So that was a really good course I did over the last few months, and hopefully it could translate into better videos. This one is a bit of a rambly one, sorry for that, but like some of the past videos, you can see that hopefully I leveled up my game, and that's because of this course I took, which is a cohort-based course with live classes, with sparring and so on. So it was pretty good. I'm gonna make a video on my lessons on that soon. Last one is to pay for Whisper Sync for audio. So I read a lot, and I read almost everything on my iPad, and I also hear audiobooks and so on. But it's kind of annoying that if you want to buy the audiobook and the book, you need to buy it twice, and it's like I never did that. And then I discovered something called Whisper Sync, which is a setup that Amazon has, that if you owe the book itself and then you owe the audiobook, then you can basically, like, I'll even show it. It's random that I do this now, right? But I was reading a book here. So you have it on your phone. And you can also, of course, see it on the iPad. You're reading the book, but then you put play, and then it's pretty crazy. So you see, it goes completely. So you could be, for example, in the gym, reading, and it will keep reading, and then you can highlight, and then highlight what you read. And basically, like, my big problem with audiobooks was I would never be able to remember what I read, because I couldn't. I had to basically stop biking or stop my gym, take a note, and like remember to put a note into Rome and so on. Now basically you can basically pause your workout for a second, highlight what you have been reading, because this basically follows everything. Super cool, quite expensive, but magical. So I never expected I would actually be paying for stuff like this, but again, like, it's money well spent, if you ask me. And last, travel update. So that's on money. So hopefully it serves as inspiration. Again, like, fire is good, but also living your best life when you can at the moment is also good. So try to find that balance. Hopefully you do as well. In terms of travel update, for all of you who care, if you don't care, bye-bye. But like, if you care about traveling, as I said, as many of you know, I have been to 133 countries, and that's kind of stable now because of Corona, but that's hopefully changing. And I've been to now 3 places over the summer. Flanders in Belgium and northeast France. So I was actually in northwest France, excuse me for that. I've been in Ghent and Bruges, Lille, Amiens, Chartres and Rouen. Sorry for my butchering of French and like, what is it, Flemish languages, but they have like basically these amazing clock towers, immense Gothic cathedrals, super nice. Actually, I really liked it a lot. I don't, especially I was on my own, no baby, no wife, and I actually was at this really good time to zoom out and like enjoy these places. I'm really now into Middle Ages history, and there's a lot happening in that side of the world, so super exciting. Then I was in Sicily. Sicily was on the top of my list to visit in Europe for many years, and now that with Corona we can go around further from Europe to actually go and see Sicily is great. My grandma was from Sicily, so it's also like I'm partly Sicilian, and when I did this 23andMe it was mostly Sicilian, so it's like going back to my roots. And was in Palermo, which is like this, the capital of Sicily in a way, like, and it's like this more modern Baroque city. It's quite pretty, especially the center. A place called Cefalù, which is also pretty, where they filmed part of Cinema Paradiso, which is a great movie. And then I was in Agrigentum, where I can see these temples like this. It looks like Parthenon in Greece. I mean, it's amazing Greek ruins, super beautiful. And the drive from Palermo to Agrigentum, we stopped in a few places to see, for example, like this Roman villa with mosaics from like almost 2,000 years ago, and they look amazing. It's great to actually see the small little towns where all the mafia comes from, like this Corleone town. It's like super small. It's actually really interesting to see that, to see all the old groves and so on. So it was nice. It was incredibly hot, so maybe didn't enjoy it as much as we should, but yeah, we'll come back hopefully. And then was in Ibiza with the family, and Ibiza and Sicily also went to the family. And then Ibiza was surprised, it's actually very nice. So it's not just about partying. The old town is super pretty, and with all these rock buildings and so on. I have something for rock buildings in old towns. I really like that. And super welcoming. The sea was great. My son loved it. We want to go back for sure. And coming up next, we'll go to Croatia in a bit of few days in September, and then beyond that, nothing else planned exactly. We'll see hopefully about Seychelles and the Caribbean, but we'll see about that. And last points for now. I had 2 quotes. I always finish my newsletters with quotes, and again I use Streetwise to resurface quotes, and then like my favorites I keep them to put them back in the newsletter. And these are 2 to finish up this long video now. First one, from Thucydides, writing 2,400 years ago in the history of the Peloponnesian War. So one sense of honor is the only thing that does not grow old, and the last pressure when one is worn out with age is not, as the poet said, making money, but having respect of fellow men. Just to put it in perspective, when like old people from the old times saying, okay, money is not the biggest thing, right? So, and then from Ryan Holiday, author of Ego is the Enemy, The Obstacle is the Way, a lot of other books. It's what Olympic medalists feel, it's what politicians feel the day they are sworn in, and what the actors feel when winning an Oscar, is what the scientists feel when they're awarded a Nobel Prize. We all think that some external accomplishment is going to change everything, but it never seems to. It doesn't change it doesn't change how you see yourself, it doesn't change how you go through the world, it doesn't change how you feel like when you wake up in the morning. And this is a guy who's very, very successful and knows a lot of very successful people. Just to also give you the perspective that if you're really striving for a goal, for example, I want to have in my case like, I don't know, whatever YouTube subscribers or big email list and so on, the moment you get there, it's like, it doesn't really change how you wake up. So that could put it a bit perspective and makes it also more important for you to enjoy the journey. With that, as I said, like, this is the compass. So as you can see, they're normally very long emails, so it's not for everyone, right? But as we have here like 2,000 something people that like to read this, so hopefully you would like to join into that email list as well. The link will be down in the video description. Again, I send an email maybe like just once a month at best. Sometimes it's once every 2 months, so it's definitely not a spam situation for you. So just one good stuff email for every once in a while. And thank you for watching all the way to the end. All the best, and see you here in the next video over here, which is another of my old compasses walkover. So if that's the type of thing that you like, make sure you check that out. Cheers.